Hello, today I'm just going to talk very briefly about how to take photos through the Heine Delta 20T dermatoscope. The issue with this one is that this rubber ring here is not metallic, and so you cannot use it to magnetically attach your camera phone to the scope. And so there are various workarounds on that. Now, the obvious first workaround is simply to hold your camera phone up to the eyepiece. And that's what a lot of people use, what a lot of people do. And actually, you can get fairly decent photos by doing that. If you are going to do that, make sure that the circle that you're looking at here is as round as possible, because if it appears slightly oval like that, it means that you're not lined up properly against it, and so it'll be out of focus. The other thing to say is if you're doing this, you need to get used to how to hold the scope and the phone with one hand so that you have the other hand free to operate the phone. It's not impossible to do, and if you get used to it, it's a reasonable way to do it. The other thing you can also do, of course, is get your patient or somebody else in the room, patient or chaperone, to hold the dermatoscope whilst you hold the camera up to it. So that's certainly one way that you can take pictures. Now, there are two other ways that you can take pictures. The first way is to use this type of adapter. This piece of plastic is only available by Brymill. It was originally developed for the Opticlar dermatoscopes, which are very similar to the Heine Delta 20T. And it is this piece of plastic and a step down ring, like go together like that, and these will then attach to this, which is the metallic ring that comes with all of the Dermalite Magnetic Connect adapters. So you can attach that to there, and what we now have is a little magnetic ring which will sit over this, and we would use that, for example, with any of the Dermalite connectors. And so I'm just going to show you first of all this one. This is one that's attached to an iPhone, and so we can attach this, sit on it magnetically like that, and then when we turn on the scope, look at the lesion, we can simply pop that over the top, zoom in a bit, tap on it to focus, and take our picture. So that's one of them. Now, really, all I'm going to do now is just show you a few of the Dermalite adapters that you can use this with. So you can use it with the standard cradle adapter, where your phone sits in the cradle here, and the arm moves to cover the camera of the phone, and again, it will attach to that very nicely. You can also use it with these ones. These are the more commonly used ones, and this has two settings. It has a lower setting and an upper setting. This bit screws off, and I can show you there are two little bits that you can screw it into here. So it was on the lower one. I'm going to put it on the upper one now. So that is now firmly attached, and this simply sits over the camera on your phone. And the reason it has the two settings is because some of the cameras are close to the edge and some of the cameras are further away from the edge. And then to attach it to the phone, all you're going to do is you're just going to tighten it up a little bit there. And then when you pop that on, you can see as we put it over the scope, and again, we can zoom in and take pictures like that. So that's that bit, and that's that one. The other types of adapter that you can use to attach to this particular thing are this type. So this is one which is self-adhesive. I would recommend, if you have a self-adhesive one, that you don't attach it directly onto your phone, but that you get a separate case for the phone and you attach it to the case, because this is going to be quite big and bulky in your handbag. But again, it would stick on self-adhesively, and that then attaches magnetically to that. The alternative, these are harder to get hold of, but if you can get hold of them, they're fantastic. This is another Dermalite invention. It has this little metallic bit here, and it shows you where to put your camera. So that's over the camera. So then you would stick that there. It has a self-adhesive backing. So you'd stick it there, and then you can use this. And this bit attaches to that, and this bit attaches to this. So you would have these little pieces of equipment here, and that would then just stick on like that and be lined up perfectly for your phone. So those are several different ways to use this piece of equipment, which, as I say, is only available from Brymill, but is a very convenient way in which to take photos through your Heine Delta 20T. The alternative, which is very significantly cheaper, but also much more tricky and fiddly to use, is this piece of equipment. And this is a universal adapter which has been developed for use with telescopes. It costs less than £10 and is widely available on internet sites. And it works in a very similar way to this one, but instead of having a magnetic ring, it has a physical bit that holds the scope. So with this, the first thing to do is to put your phone into the cradle. And whenever you're using the ones with the cradles, do just be careful that you don't accidentally turn your phone off by pressing with the little rubber bits onto the on-off button. So I'm just going to do that first of all. Put it in the cradle. Once I've got it in the cradle, I'm then going to adjust the arm. So I can undo this little nut here and adjust the arm so that the camera is in the middle, roughly, of the hole. Let me see if I can get that to tighten up. So I've tightened up that screw. Now there's quite a lot of gubbins, as it were, sticking out here. As you can see, it's quite deep. And so if you try to put your scope on straight like that, it's going to be difficult and it's going to snag against it. So you do need to put it on a bit of an angle, coming out sideways a bit, and that should just slide in there quite nicely. And then I can tighten it up. And now I can turn the whole thing the other way up, turn on the scope, and there I have a scope attached, and I've got the other hand free to zoom in and take my picture. You have to be a bit careful with this setup for several reasons. Firstly, it's a little bit tricky to hold on to, if I'm honest. But the most important thing is on this bit here. This bit that moves, that loosens and moves the arm, this nut can come off quite easily. It has two positions, and so it's supposed to come off so that you can put it into different positions depending on where your camera is relative to where you've got to put the cradle. But when it comes off, this bit can, sorry, she's dropping it all over the place. This bit can actually become detached and can get lost. So do be careful and do make sure that you leave it attached, and then you'll need to undo it to take your phone out to retrieve it. So these are your options for adapters for the Heine Delta 20T. The easiest option, I have to say, is the Brymill adapter, but this is a good alternative if you can't get hold of the Brymill adapter, or if you're looking for something considerably cheaper, but it is significantly more tricky to use. It is definitely much easier to use the magnetic adapters.